Right, the poison. The poison for Steve. The poison chosen specially to kill Steve. Poison. That poison?
Yes, that poison.
Got you covered.
Hey friends, what do you think potions actually are? And more importantly, how much do they weigh? This is part of my ongoing quest to figure out exactly how much Minecraft Steve can lift. Watching the rest of them is not necessary for this video, but the full playlist is in all the places. As always, my ground rules are the same. We're avoiding any interpretation that leads to infinite weight, assuming conservation of mass is respected, unless there's evidence that it isn't, and sticking with vanilla survival Minecraft, which in this case just means no luck potion. With all that out of the way, let's answer the long-awaited question, how much do potions weigh? Obviously, to weigh the potions, we need to know how much the ingredients weigh, and to figure that out, we need to figure out what each ingredient is, because most of them, this. There's over 20 items to cover, and not a whole lot of time, so this video is going to be more of a lightning round. Let's jump in. I've divided our potion ingredients into 3 basic categories, and a special 4th one, based on how we can go about identifying and weighing them. Let's start with the stuff that mostly exists on Earth. A bunch of them are parts of animals, while the pufferfish is a whole creature, or I guess the corpse of one? Let's start with that. If I ask you what kind of pufferfish this is, I'm guessing most people would say either that they didn't know there were multiple kinds, I didn't, or they'd say something to do with food. It's the most common dish that involves eating a pufferfish, and is famously made using highly toxic species that produce tetrodotoxin, one of the most lethal poisons in the animal kingdom. Since being both edible and highly poisonous are 2 of the main things we know about the Minecraft pufferfish, it seems like a pretty good fit. But none of the puffers commonly used for fugu really look like this. Some get close to the colors, but generally speaking, the vast majority of puffers don't have spines this pronounced. Instead, I think we're looking at a close relative, the porcupine fish, specifically the long-spined porcupine fish. Its look matches pretty well, both when deflated and when puffed up, and it also produces tetrodotoxin, so it's a pretty good match. It isn't a true pufferfish taxonomically, but it is in the same order, and is usually still called a pufferfish. So I'll let Mojang off the hook this time. Here on Earth, adult porcupine fish are pretty much the same size as Minecraft pufferfish, about 35 centimeters in length, so we can just use the same mass at an average of 2 kilograms. Next up is the rabbit foot. So let's start by measuring the rabbit. The standard way to do that is from the tip of the nose to the base of the tail, and if we trace along the rabbit texture, that's 20 rabbit pixels. They're each about half as big as block pixels. And block pixels is 10 over 16 meters, or 63 centimeters, which is enormous for a rabbit. But there are some real-world breeds that can grow that big, like the appropriately named Flemish Giant. Look at this thing. Want one. Since our rabbit isn't unrealistically big, that makes estimating the mass of its foot pretty easy. What I can tell, the foot from a Flemish Giant, or from any of its giant brethren, is estimated to have a mass of around 0.1 kilograms, so we can go with that. Another easy ingredient should be the turtle shell. It's made with 5 turtle scutes, which are pieces of shell that baby turtles shed as they grow up. If we look at the outer texture, it doesn't exactly match any of the plates we can see on the turtle, but it's pretty close to this section, the biggest one in the back. Baby turtle pixels are a lot smaller than block pixels, but they use the exact same model as adult turtles, just scaled down. And adult turtles do use block pixels, so it'll be easier to measure that. This segment is a total of 71 block scale pixels. Assuming an average thickness of 1 pixel makes it about 0.017 cubic meters. Looking back to the baby, the hitbox of the adult is 3 times larger, but the model is closer to 6.33 times as big. So, dividing by 6.33 cubed, can't forget the square cube law, we get 0.0000683 cubic meters. For once, the species of turtle doesn't really matter since the density of the shell doesn't change that much between them, always being around 1,400 kilograms per cubic meter, putting the mass of a single scute at just under 0.01 kilograms, or combining 5 of them together into a turtle shell for roughly 0.5 kilograms. The last ingredient in the subcategory of real-world animal parts is the spider eye. When I told my comments I wasn't sure how to weigh this, a bunch of folks chimed in to say that I should just take the weight of a normal spider eye and scale it up. The problem with that is I don't know what that is. This might be shocking, but there's some great documentation out there on the average masses of spider organs, so since nobody had any other ideas, I'll try and estimate it to the best of my ability. The Minecraft spider is made of 11 different boxes, making it one of the more complex model-wise. They have 3 body sections, even though they should only have 2, and 8 legs. Here are the measurements for all of those in pixels. The pixels are block scaled, so here they are in meters, and here are all the volumes for a total of 0.537 cubic meters. After looking at a lot of real-world spiders, I'll estimate that individual eyes usually take up somewhere between 0.05% and 0.5% of the spider in volume. And since Minecraft spiders look like they're on the big side for eyes, we can take the high end. Spider density also varies from about as dense as water to slightly denser. Since eyes tend to be on the lighter side of organs, I'll take the lower end for that, giving us final estimates for spider eyes being a little under 0.003 meters and 1,000 kilograms per cubic meter, or 2.69 kilograms. That might seem too heavy for an eyeball, but these spiders are so big, and their eyes are so big proportional to them, that the only real-world animals with bigger eyes are giant squids. Now there's just 3 items left in our first category, and all of them should be pretty easy because all the work is already done. Cobwebs should be super easy since in-game they're essentially equivalent to a single string item. And I've already measured string in this video to have a mass of 12.8 kilograms, so we can use that for cobwebs. For sugar, over in this other video all about armor, we also measured the model of sugarcane as having a mass of 53.3 kilograms. Since one sugarcane item can be crafted into 1 sugar, we can go off that. Making sugar from sugarcane is not very efficient, only resulting in about 10 to 15 grams of sugar per kilogram of cane. If we assume that this is really good sugarcane and that Steve is really good at harvesting it, we can take the 15% high end and say that this item represents 8 kilos of sugar. Nice. Enough with stealing my own homework and time to steal someone else's. When trying to figure out exactly what kind of stone this is, I could look at the Education Edition exclusive material reducer block, which tells me that this is pure silicon dioxide, the same as quartz. But that's both dumb and lame, so we aren't doing that. Instead, as comments pointed out, YouTube channel Banana and Bread made this video where they theorized stone to be rhyolite, and YouTuber and geologist, nice name, made these 2 videos about how stone is either carbonatite or limestone. All 3 interpretations have their merit, and none of them fit perfectly, but personally, I find the limestone one to be the most compelling, so we can use that. Also, all the videos are in the description. Limestone has a density of around 2,700 kilograms per cubic meter on the high end, and they're obviously a full cubic meter, making the mass of each stone block 2,700 kilograms. Now we're done with our first category, and with everything easy. Next up is all the more fantastical stuff that doesn't have obvious real-world equivalents. Last time I threw out a call for help from viewers, and a lot of people came through both in the comments and on my Discord. Thanks, friends. I got a lot of different suggestions on what each thing could be, but even if I don't end up going with your idea, it probably helped point me in the right direction. So thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts on it. Starting with gas tiers, the suggestions ranged from salt and mercury to literal souls, but I always assumed they were pretty normal gas tiers. Although I do like this idea from Discord user Kyo2, where they theorize gas are related to real-world velvet worms. Very cool. Whether it's tears or velvet worm slime won't end up mattering a whole lot, I'll come back to why, so whichever one you prefer works. Most of the things we're weighing use this formula for mass, where we find the density and the volume, but I don't know if there's really any way to directly find the volume in this game. However, if we assume that the item name is literal, meaning this is an actual liquid that actually comes out of the gaseous tear ducts, then we can instead use this more complicated formula. This is a slight variation of another equation called Tate's law and is used to measure the surface tension of liquids in what's called the stalagmometric method, because I simply cannot get through an episode of this series without fluid dynamics coming up. The stalagmometric method measures how gravity overcomes surface tension to detach droplet from a hanging liquid, such as water dripping out of a faucet or tears coming out of a tear duct. M is the mass we're solving for, G is gravity, which we already know from previous videos is 32 meters per second squared on the Minecraft planet, and sigma is the surface tension of the fluid. The surface tension of tears is around 0.04 newtons per meter, significantly lower than that of water. This is because of all the lipids and proteins dissolved in it, and while I can't find an exact measure for a velvet worm slime, it has a lot of that same stuff, so it might be reasonable to assume they have similar surface tension. The final variable we need to account for is R, which is the radius of the source. In this case, the gaseous tear duct. Gas dyes are 8 pixels wide, and gas pixels are twice as big as block pixels. And gas dyes have a diameter of a full meter, and meaning they're a little over 8 times bigger than Steve's eyes. If we assume Steve has human-sized tear ducts and scale them up, that gives gas tear ducts a radius of 2 millimeters. Plug everything in, work through the math, and we get the gas tier with a tiny mass of under 16 milligrams. Sticking with the nether theme, netherwort is one of the main ingredients of potion. Most comments agree that it's some kind of fungus, and the game agrees too, given that you can find it as part of the large crimson fungi. As for what kind it is, allow me to introduce you to red yeast. Also, credit to Discord user Red Bull Man for coming to the same conclusion. On Earth, it's a kind of mold that grows on rice. The color is perfect, it was cultivated by primitive civilizations like we see in nether fortresses, and the reason it was cultivated was to assist in fermentation, which is an early step in real-world brewing. The only problems are that red yeast is way too small and can't withstand the heat of the nether. But bigger, more heat-resistant versions of other organisms are just kind of a thing that happens in the nether, so I think it's fine. I have a theory on why that might be, too. It involves the observable effects of magic in Minecraft's ecosystem, but it'll have to be another video. Let me know if that sounds interesting. Anyway, the netherwort block confirms that a single netherwort, like other blockable resources, has a volume of 1/9 cubic meters. The culture of red yeast has a density of 1,100 kilograms per cubic meter, for a total mass per item of 122 kilograms. While we're in the nether fortress, another pretty important item in making potions is blaze powder, and commenters had a lot of ideas for this one. Sulfur powder, plutonium, phosphorus, plasma, and my pick, thermite, as suggested by commenter Tranquil Slime 870. color matches, it's normally pretty stable but highly reactive when triggered, and overall it's just a very good fit for an item that's like the essence of heat. Can't quite tell what the volume is for the blaze powder, but we can tell what it is for the blaze rod, since we can visibly see them on the blaze. That's 2 by 2 by 8 block scale pixels for a volume of 0.008 cubic meters, and the density of thermite when compacted like this can get to around 4,000 kilograms per cubic meter, making each blaze rod 31.25 kilograms. Blaze powder would be less compacted and therefore less dense, but would still end up having half the mass of a blaze rod, or 15.6 kilograms per item. Finishing up the nether items is glowstone. Comments said things like willemite, barite, fireflies, gossamer worms, and hackmanite, which I do like, but the color is off, though it does remind me of something. And in Mojang's Block of the Week article on glowstone, they mentioned phosphorus, which is good, but it's still not quite right. But I do think it is a kind of phosphor, as originally suggested by Discord user Chloe. A phosphor is any substance that glows when exposed to radiation, and they can be pretty much any color. Commenter 23BCX suggested calcite doped in manganese, which is very glowy, and the color of the rock itself does match pretty close, but the color of the glow is a deeper orange color. I do think they're onto something though. My guess is that we take that same manganese and dope strontium sulfide with it instead. Doping in this context, by the way, is putting trace amounts of another substance in the rocks. It changes the color of the glow, but it won't affect the weight very much. For strontium sulfide's case, normally it doesn't glow very yellowish, but if there's just the right amount of manganese mixed in, it gets very close. And also, as a bonus, when solid, it's very brittle and shatters like glass. The density is around 3,700 kilograms per cubic meter. This time it's 1/4 of a cubic meter for a mass of 925 kilograms per glowstone dust.
Choose to raid the caravan.
Right, I forgot. And again, it doesn't matter anymore. I forgot this downs itself. Oh no, still doesn't work. I still won't be able to defend. Ah, sure, I got rid of the only black in my fucking shit. Well, I'm dumb. Wasn't worth it anyways. But whether it's 1 cost or 2 cost. Wait, shit. The deck out will still hurt. Because our primary ability is no longer gonna do anything. To be fair, as long as it's over. Very over. Dang it. Holy shit, what a quick game. Wait, why did they surrender here? Are you are you kidding me? Am I missing something here? I mean, they know their deck the best out of anyone. If they know they lose, then they lose. But like, huh? What the fuck were you playing? You had 7 Enter and 4 cards left on the Lyric deck. Oh, they were gonna get decked out again. I guess that's something. And I guess they have no way to defend against a Lyric attack. Hmm, what an awesome game. Oh, I'm using Shie. Eh, wow. Honestly, this is a fantastic and I've never seen this art of Ruko. Weird. He's like a princess, or is that supposed to be a wedding bride rarity? Doesn't look like a bride to me. Also, it's Ruko again. I'm playing a bit more competent EN deck this time, although honestly my sash when I put back over Pursuit and my removal got a little better again. Hmm. Ooh, fantastic. We could hold this for next turn and just... would be the better choice here? Of course. My aggression is punished. I forgot to play my defensive thing. Whatever. Oh, what a big push. It's turn 3. Okay, let's go. It's really awkward having to fight someone that doesn't fill up our graveyard for us. What? Dude, are you. Do you have a brain? Was it a misclick? Attacking once? I cannot comprehend. Don't know if I should be scared or appalled. Guess they were fishing for a servant there, I'm guessing. I would be trashing it if I got it because, remember, gotta play around that card. Remember is the name of the card. Yes. No, wait, that crushes. And ironically, I live. No. Alright, we actually don't live. We are in fact dead. The fuck was that?